Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Aimee here. So this is going to be just a weird intro to the video you will be seeing after this. The video will be continuing with my wrap-ups for the books I've read in the month of October. Something went wrong with my camera that day and it just shut off. I thought the intro was filmed, but it was not. When I went to start editing, I saw that there was no intro. So here we are. Welcome to my October wrap up. Let's get on to the video. My camera just like shut off. I don't know what happened. I hope. Anyway, let's start off with The Only One Left by Riley Sager. This, y'all, was just a big wow. Like, this was incredible. I had the best time with this book. I think this is one of his best in not say a really long time, but I've been kind of like, every time he comes out with a new book, I'm like, okay, is this one gonna be, you know, another good one, or is this gonna be like a mediocre one? But this one was a good one. So for the most part of this book, we are following Kit. Kit is a caretaker, and she has been assigned to go take care of the infamous, what is her last name? Her name's Lenora Hope. She is to go take care of Lenora Hope, and Lenora Hope is famous for, she was suspected, or I don't know if she was ever really accused of the murder of her family, but nothing ever came about of it. So Lenora is still in her family home, but she can't really communicate well. She can't walk. So yeah, she needs someone with her at all times. She can communicate through typing, but she can only use one of her hands. Now, the book does start off with Lenora telling us how she finds herself in the rain holding a bloody knife. And then, you know, we go on and we pretty much follow Kit's narration from there. Lenora does give us stories, or like letters throughout the book, like as she's typing on her typewriter, as she's telling Kit her story. Because of course, you know, just like the many caretakers before her, Kit is curious about Lenora's story. Did she do it? Was the killer never caught? You know, like what's the story? So yeah, we do get little tidbits throughout the book with Lenora telling us her story, which I really loved, getting just little bitty clues as we get further along into the story. We do meet a lot of people along the way that are involved in the story. The ending, y'all, was so twisted and turning everywhere. Like, my mind was spinning. It was insane. I have so many notes, like with all these different characters, all these little bitty different clues that lead up to what really happened on that fateful night when her entire family was murdered. That's all I can say about that. This has really been one of the best thrillers I have read in a while. So yeah, like, I can't wait to see what else we get from Mr. Sager. Next up, we have The Last Word. This is by Taylor Adams. If you didn't know, I gave this one a 5-star. This one was just a 3.5 star for me. It was entertaining, but like, ever since I read No Exit by Taylor Adams, nothing has really been as good as that story. This one was okay. It read like a book within a book. And it did give me like 90s sort of horror vibes. Like, kind of like Scream, but just in a different way. I don't know, if you read it, maybe you know what I'm talking about. This was just, I did find that it was a little long. So we have Emma. Emma basically writes a bad review. She is recommended this book by her neighbor. So her and her neighbor let me back up a little bit. So Emma is house sitting. Let's just say that. And the neighbor of this house that she is sitting for is an older man, and they've never like had one-on-one communication. They talk through like a window to each other that they can see through like a whiteboard. They play hangman together. It's a really interesting friendship, I guess. I had a good time with it. I thought that was really good. So he recommends a book to her, and she reads it. It's terrible. She goes and writes a bad review, and the author contacts her, and it's like basically like, can you take this review down because it will hurt my sales? And she's like, no. Long story short, she starts to feel like she's not alone, feel like she's being watched. So could the author be stalking her? Could he be coming after her? Because they do tend to, they've been emailing back and forth, and the emails are getting like a little heavier and heavier as far as, you know, like this author is being very persistent about her taking this review down. Emma does have her own little story to tell. She has a little bit of a past, and then there's also the neighbor, of course, that has a little bit of a past himself, and you know, she comes to realize who he is, and it's very hard to talk about this book without giving anything away, but it was entertaining nonetheless. I just felt like it was a little bit drawn out. There was something about it that just didn't do it for me. I don't know how to talk about this book, y'all. It was like I keep saying, it was entertaining, although I do feel like it was drawn out. I don't know. At some points I felt like it was ridiculous, and there is a bit of a twist at the end that I was not expecting, and I thought was pretty clever. So that's what made it kind of give it that little half a star. That's all I can say about this book. Next we have Dark Corners by Megan Golden. I absolutely love this book. This is the second book to her Rachel Crawl series. The first book was The Night Swim, which I also absolutely loved. This is a podcast and a book. I highly recommend the audio if you can, because it just brings the book to life so much. You know, you have the podcast vibe, and it's the narration is just phenomenal in general. Of course, we have Rachel Crawl, her podcast, Guilty or Not Guilty. So Rachel is back on the scene. This is about a missing influencer, Madison Logan. Madison goes missing after she visits a suspected serial killer in prison. And due to that little visit, this is why Rachel is involved in the story. So Rachel being Rachel, she is going to immerse herself in that influencer world. So she opens up her own little Instagram account where she actually used to have like a runner's Instagram account. So she kind of opens that back up. She has a good amount of followers, so she can kind of put herself back into that influencer I guess range of people, and she goes into this world and, you know, interviews all these influencers that know Megan. It was really fun to kind of get into that world and just see what's real and what could possibly not be real as far as influencers go. I just find that so fascinating. But the story was really fun. I love the whole investigating process with Rachel, following her along as she's kind of trying to be an influencer to figure out what happened to Madison. We run across lots of just little tidbits here and there. We also seem to be following this stranger. He has a driving service, or he drives for a driving service. I found his point of view really interesting and entertaining. Just a great story all around. I love the podcast vibe we get from this story. I really do hope we get more of Rachel Crawl in the future. I gave it 5 stars. Then we have The Trap. This is by Catherine Ryan Howard. wasn't very crazy about this book. I gave it 2.5 stars. The half star was only because there is a pretty good twist at the end. But for the most part, I found it very drawn out and a little boring most of the time. I did find it was kind of hard to follow as well. The narration was good. I did listen to this on audio, but it was still a little bit hard to follow because we do follow the investigator. I think her name is Denise. So basically this is a book about a sister who's looking for her missing sister. And she kind of throws herself into looking for the person or trying to be captured by the person that might have took her sister, so she can, maybe he'll lead her to her sister and she can rescue her. I have no idea what this person was thinking, but that's kind of where we are. We follow her and her story, and as well as the investigator Denise, who is also on the story. When we get to like the really when we get to like the first twist, I guess it was the first twist. Were there other twists? I don't really remember, but the main twist of this story, I was just kind of like, I felt it was ridiculous. I felt it was ridiculous. Not the twist in general. I liked the twist because I gave it a extra little half star due to the twist, but I guess the reason behind the twist, like I even marked it where we find out, I guess, why this person did what they did. I just found it ridiculous. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain it. But yeah, for the most part, I found the story just drawn out, a little boring. I was kind of confused a little bit most of the time. And even though there was a good twist, the story behind the twist, yeah, just I didn't I wasn't falling for it, I guess. Like, I didn't feel like that was realistic. I don't know. I don't want to give too much away talking about this book, but as much as I love the cover and I was, you know, really hoping for a good read in this one, because it is sort of based on actual true crime that took place in like the De Bloom area. Am I saying that right? Kind of like Ireland sort of area where lots of women went missing, and you know, I don't think that the cases were ever solved. Like, they're all still open. So that's where this kind of story comes off of. So I did find that interesting. We do get, you know, little nitpicks of like other missing women, and, you know, could these missing women still be alive? Are they just being held up somewhere? It was sort of like an investigation story, which can be interesting. I think that's really what kept me like really into the story, because we had those little bitty tidbits of like other missing women and their stories, and could these women still be alive? Could, you know, is someone just keeping them somewhere? I found that part of the story very interesting, but also just a little bit on the boring side. Okay, before I get into my last book for the month of October, let's talk about this little novella called Still Beating by Jessie Walker. Put a picture of it here. This is sort of like almost a third book to Will and Way's story. When There's a Wheel is the first book, and then If There's a Way is the second book. Both those books are full-length, very long novels about these two guys and their journey of accepting who they are, accepting the things that have happened to them, and moving forward. I love Will and Way. Absolutely love them. I do feel like their story was dragged out a little bit too long, because it's basically the same thing. But in a way, I feel like a hypocrite when I say that, because I keep referencing back to Wrath every time I read a super long, intense, emotional story about or romance about two men, I always seem to reference Wrath because Wrath was over 700 pages, and it is, in my opinion, I know a lot of people said it was long, and that's fine, and this Will and Way story may not be long to other people. I just felt that it was a little bit too long. Only because it's the same thing over and over. It's the same issue that we're going through. It's like, it's almost like, do you want him or do you not? Do you want to accept who you are or do you not want to accept who you are? Do you want to be with him or do you want to shut that whole part of yourself down just so you can be accepted and possibly loved by a father that was horrible to you? So it's just the same issue with these two guys. With Wrath, it was, I guess, it's so hard to explain because I love both these stories, but I just felt like I even wanted more of Wrath. Because these guys, their story just went over time, and it's so hard to explain. I'm not even gonna try because I'm probably gonna get bashed about it. But I did love Will and Way's story, but I felt like it was drug out too long, and I felt sorry for Will because, you know, he truly loves Way or Waylon, and Waylon's kind of up and down constantly. He gives himself to him and then he takes it away, and then it was a constant back and forth, and it drove me insane. As well as Wrath, it wasn't that back and forth thing. Like, they knew who they wanted. They knew who they were. It's just one was having a more hard time accepting it and needed to go on this journey before their love could truly be, or they could truly be together. With Will and Way, it was just such a back and forth emotional roller coaster, and I felt sorry for Will the entire time because he is a gay man. He's out as gay. He was already in a gay relationship, and that relationship led him back to Waylon, and Waylon's just kind of all over the place. You know, he doesn't want to accept who he possibly really is because he's never really explored that side of him. But him and Will have such a past that they shared together as young boys. It's a beautiful story between these two, but we have 2 long books as well as a novella. And it's just, the novella is just like a little continuation of the events that happened at the end of the second book, of course. So if you want to read Will and Ways, you have to start at the beginning. I was really hoping for some of the other characters in this little novella. I was hoping for, like, this maybe was a jump start to maybe their story, which they do have a story. I forget the name of the book, but is it even out yet? I think it is. I think they're getting a novella themselves coming out next year. Yeah, we have All We Are, Lost Boys 2.6, and then we get Every Breath After, number 3. So this is the series is called Lost Boys. Is Every Breath After, is that even out yet? To be published in 2024. So yeah, there is a 2.6. Is this still Will and Way's story? Yes. Oh, we get more Will and Way. Okay, I'm gonna have to read it. I'm gonna have to. I'm devoted to these 2 men, and I love them. I just feel like it's just too much for my emotional well-being. Anyway, moving on. I like I said, I love Will and Way. I love their story. This little novella that we get is some events, some happy events took place at the end of book 2, and we're in this little novella. We're continuing on that little journey and how it affects their relationship. What does this help it grow? Help them accept who they are, or help actually Waylon accept who he is. It was, I mean, it was good. I gave it, what did I give it? I think I gave it a 4-star, just, you know, yeah, I gave it 4 stars. So anyway, it's called Still Beating. Did I say that? It's on the screen. Okay, moving on. Okay, and lastly, but definitely not least, Britney Spears, The Woman in Me. I'm not normally a non-fiction reader. I don't normally like autobiographies. I did read Tom Felton's, which was fantastic. He was Draco from Harry Potter. I loved hearing his story of, you know, how Harry Potter was such a huge part of his world. And I loved his story of, like, you know, just how he loves that he was in Harry Potter. And I love that about his story. And then here we are, Britney. I'm a huge fan, always have been, of Britney. Never really knew her struggles. I mean, I knew she had some issues with the whole thing with her dad, but this woman, y'all, she went through some shit. Like, almost from the very beginning of her career, she never really had the support. She was just the one, like just pushing herself, like this is what she wanted to do. And I just feel like everybody has let her down throughout her journey, especially her family. Anyway, so much I can say about this book. I absolutely loved it. I give it 5 stars. You know, you can't really put a star on someone's life, but the story and just how it was written and how it was told was fantastic. I did listen to it. It was read by Michelle Williams, and she did a phenomenal job at getting Britney's story out there into the world and for us to listen to. Like, let me know in the comments if you've read Britney's story. I just feel for this woman. I love her, and I know she posts some crazy stuff on Instagram. But I love it, and I love who she is, and that what she does, she even says in the book, what she does, what she posts makes her happy. So she's gonna do it. And I'm like, go girl, you do what makes you happy. She is not worried about what anybody else thinks. And I love that. I just wish she would. I don't know if she has someone now in her life. I mean, I know her latest husband, they are in the midst of a divorce, I believe, but I just hope she finds someone to really support her and really just be her true friend, because I love her. I don't know what else to say about it. It was fantastic, and just like it just made me that more aware of the struggles that she went through, that I as a fan had no clue. You know, there were things in here that the media makes you feel like it's all on Britney, and even though you may believe that in your mind, you still love Britney, which is how, you know, I felt. But there's so much behind what the media put out there, so much that we don't know. Yeah, if you're a Britney fan, you have to read this book. Let me know in the comments if you read it. Okay, y'all, that is it. My battery is dying. It's probably gonna die on me, but these are all the books I read, plus the little half book in the month of October. Let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books, what you thought about them. Yeah, thank y'all so much for watching as always. Hope you're all doing well out there, having a great holiday season so far, and I'll see y'all very soon in a new video. Bye, y'all.